Okay. Hey. Okay. So, I guess start off with what's your actual position title, I guess.
Um, I guess my business card says general manager and winemaker.
Okay.
But in a small business like ours, we all wear lots and lots of hats. So I guess I lead the crew in winemaking. They all know what they're doing too. Sometimes I help direct traffic. Or help park cars. A little bit of everything.
What are your day-to-day tasks or responsibilities?
It's one of my favorite things about the vineyard and winery is that what I'm doing in November is always going to be very different than what I'm doing in August or May or anything like that. So day to day is make sure that my guys are focused. They've got some kind of task that needs to be done or many tasks. If we need help with anything, getting in some outside help. Things need to be ordered or stocked, whether that's yeast or bottles or corks, working with other farmers who grow grapes for us, checking in on them, watching our own farm, meeting with our consultants, anything like that, helping organize the tasting room.
Are you guys open year round?
Yep, 7 days a week.
Except for people coming to them?
It's a good question. It really spikes around harvest season because everybody wants to come and see the leaves change, and it's a very beautiful time to be in a vineyard. And then once the leaves drop, it's almost like somebody just shut the faucet off. Yeah, and so it's a real challenge for us to make sure that we stay relevant to people, and people still want to come out and buy wine from us, even in the winter. Even though people actually drink more wine in the winter, we see less sales.
How many employees do you directly supervise?
I guess my wine and vine team is myself and 3 full-time employees. And then I've got some help during the summer as well. It's part-time or temporary employees like college students, or there's a guy who this is his second job and he just likes to come out and help us out. I'm not really in charge of the tasting room, but I guess those people also kind of report to me, and that would be 1 or 1.5 dozen people. I work very closely with my parents, who are also the men in the tasting room. My dad's the president of the company, so that sort of stuff. My brother is the operations manager. But I would say on a very regular basis, I have 3 people directly reporting to me.
How many employees work there overall? Or is it different in the summer and stuff?
It is, yeah. And, today, a Tuesday in November, we have 1 woman pouring in our tasting room. A busy Saturday in August, we'll have 5.
Yeah.
And those people who pour for us generally, this is not their primary job. This is their fun job. This is their I'm going to make $60 a paycheck, and I'll put that towards a trip to France, or I'll work for wine or whatever. But yeah, there's 3 people who work directly with me, and then 2 other full-time employees. Then we have 2 people who do wholesale 2 to 4 days a week. And then most people here work, 1 weekend a month or 1 day a week, or that sort of thing.
What are your favorite parts of your job?
My favorite part of my job is, I guess, pouring wine. I always think of, even though what we do on a farm, and all farms work this way, and the vineyard and the winery are no different, it's very cyclical. So, we just finished harvest season, and then a few weeks later we finished crush crush season, which means all of our grapes are pressed off the skins and everything. Today we just put the last of it into barrels. And then here in a few weeks we'll begin dormant pruning, and then spring comes and everything comes out, and then you tend to it all summer, and then you harvest, and then you start over again. But everything that you're doing today is a culmination of the things that you've done before. So when we harvest the fruit, it's the end of all of the work that we've done up to that point in the vineyard, and then we get to bring that fruit into the winery, and today we finally got everything into barrels, so that was everything. That was putting a bow on crush season. Yeah, and so then later on we're gonna bottle it, and that means that's the end of everything we've done in the winery, and then finally, you get to open up the bottle and pour it for people and say, this is what I do. Like that to me is the coolest part. And if that's in the form of a winemaker's dinner where somebody's feeding me, then even better.
Yeah. And then what are the most challenging parts of your job?
I don't have much of a life. That's tough. That can be real tough. I work just shy of 60 hours a week on average. During harvest season, during busy, eventful times, last June I had a week at, I think it was 80 to 90 hours.
That's crazy.
And that's fairly typical during harvest season, especially like when it peaks in September. So I'm pretty lame sometimes, and sometimes it's I'll go home and I'll eat and I'll go to bed, and I wake up in the morning and go back to work, and then I come home and I eat and I go to bed.
Same thing.
Yeah, and so sometimes I don't see my wife much, even though she lives like 20 minutes away. I bring my dog to work a lot, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I miss out on a lot of things. I used to go to a lot of concerts. I miss that. That would be the thing.
Okay.
So sometimes it's all work and no play.
How many years of experience do you have in this industry specifically? Like, I guess here?
6.
And then, what about did you have any other jobs before this in the hospitality industry, or?
Yep. I waited tables for 5 years, I think. At a couple of different restaurants. I do love the hospitality industry, like just working with people and trying to make sure people are happy and comfortable and enjoying themselves. It's a lot of fun.
That's what everyone says, how you always are working.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of I don't want to say putting people before you, because that's the opposite of humble. But yeah, I mean it's really fun putting a smile on people's face and making their day, or making something special.
Yeah.
It's worth it in the end.
Yeah. I guess I get something out of that, so I guess it's not completely selfless.
And how did you get into this career, and did you always want to do?
I blame my parents entirely. I have a degree in history, actually, and from EMU, I think I'm the only winemaker to ever graduate from Eastern University. And I used to live in Europe. I lived in Germany for a year, and I wanted to move back to Europe, maybe Germany, maybe somewhere else, and put my history degree to use, being working in a museum, being a tour guide, or something like that. And my parents, who seemed to really think that Europe was a really great thing for me and everything, they were really supportive of it. But they said, "Until you get something lined up, how about you help us plant some vines?" Because they had about 120 vines. It was kind of more of a hobby vineyard than anything. It was a row of this and a row of that and a row of something else. And not enough to make 10 gallons of any one particular thing. And so I started helping them out, and I got the bug one day, and this is something a lot of winemakers talk about, putting vines in the ground, and then you suddenly it occurs to you that this bottle of crystal clear Sauvignon Blanc or this huge earthy Merlot, it's just a bunch of dirt and water and sunlight, and that's all that it is, and that's really freaking cool. And so that's how I got into it. And then I've been taking a lot of classes and taking every seminar or course that I can along the way. I'll be doing this for another 30 or 40 years. Still learning about it.
So you don't think you want to go back to Germany now?
Oh, I still love going to Europe. I used to, and that's another thing, not just concerts. When I lived abroad, and then a few years after, it was a goal of mine to fill up my passport, and I was really well on the way, and I was going to do it, and then I started doing this, and it just no more. But now I get to make the excuse. Oh, I should go to France and learn about wine.
Yeah, France.
So I still love traveling. My wife and I love to see the world. Love to see all the things that are different in all the different corners and everything. But I don't get to travel near as much as I used to.
So you did kind of always want to do hospitality with the tour guide thing. Hospitality.
It's a funny thing because I feel like I just started doing this, and I got a minor in business. I wanted to when I worked in restaurants and I was in college, I wanted to one day open up my own restaurant or music venue or a bar or something like that. And a couple of years ago, we were having a concert out here, and we had a bunch of people show up. And one of my friends came over to me, who's known me for a long time. He said, "Oh, yes, you're finally doing what you always wanted to do." And I just never really thought of it like that before. I said, yeah, I guess I am.
This is a complete change of subject.
Sure.
Does the weather affect the vineyard a lot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Since you know how last winter was really cold and stuff,
yes,
did your business go down a lot?
Yes, it was really brutal. It was really bad. We lost a lot of vines. We've got about 10,000 vines on our hill, and I forget what the total number was, but we lost a couple thousand vines. It was so cold, and that happened several years ago as well. I don't know if you guys were here, if you remember it. But there was a winter, I guess it would have been like 2010. We didn't see the ground for 2 months. It just kept snowing, and it would snow like 3 or 4 feet, and then it would melt down to a couple of inches, and then it would just snow 3 or 4 feet again. We got just an unbelievable amount of snow. And one of the things about having your vineyard on the hill, when spring came, the next April, there was a line on the hill where above that line it was warm enough that everything survived, and below that line everything was dead because cold air sinks, and it killed all of the vines underneath.
So how do you deal with a setback like that?
You try to control the things that you can, and try not to worry about things you can't control. On the other hand, we did make some changes. Our Pinot Noir that was planted right here, we ripped them all out because they're just an awful vine to grow. And a lot of those vines at the bottom of the hill that died, they were Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon, which are both Bordeaux grapes. And it's not this cold in Bordeaux, and so those grapes were a struggle there. So when we replanted the stuff at the bottom of the hill, we planted the Dal Blanc, which is a really cold hardy vine. You can grow it in Ontario.
So what are the main attractions for or Bluestone Vineyard, and which one do you think is the most profitable?
I'm sorry.
What are the main attractions? Like, and so you have weddings here.
Wine.
Okay.
Yeah, we do tastings every day, and you can do a white tasting or a red tasting or both. If you like. We do have events here though. It's
You have weddings, right?
we do, and we have our summer concert series from April to September. Every second, fourth Friday of the month, we have a concert. We have 12 every year, and so I book all the bands for that. And last year was the biggest year we've ever had. We actually, for our 4th of July show, where we have fireworks and all that stuff, we had to move the party to the Rockingham County Fairgrounds because there was no way we could get all the people here and the cars parked and everything. We were just running out of space.
Is it bands that you like?
Yeah, I mean, yes, would be, I guess, the answer. But at the same time, you have to, just like when you're making wine, I can't just make a bunch of wine that I like.
Yeah.
Because maybe the wine that I like isn't what's going to sell. So I have to keep in mind what do people want to hear, who's popular around here, that sort of thing. So what I do is at the end of one concert season, I'll look back and I'll have a breakdown of every single concert we had, how many people came in, how much wine did they buy. We actually keep record of how many cars were left behind at the end of the night. We keep notes if anybody had to be asked to leave or if there are any other incidents and that sort of thing. So we look at who are the best nights of the year, and maybe next year they get invited back for 2 nights. Sometimes we say, I really like that band, but they just weren't worth the hassle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. How many different wines do you have, and which one is your favorite?
I don't know how many wines we have. It's hard. This sounds really dumb.
That's okay.
When you start working with wines during crush season, we had 3 different fields that produced Cabernet Sauvignon, and then I split those up. Like one farm that we got Cabernet Sauvignon from, I fermented 2 tons of it with this yeast, and I did the other like 4.5 tons with a different yeast, and so then those become 2 different wines. And so when I put everything into a barrel, I'm probably working with at least 20 some wines. And then sometimes those wines will get blended back together, so then it's not 3 wines, it's 1 wine. Or sometimes half of 1 wine will get divided up here and there. To shortly answer your question, I think we're pouring 16 wines, 15 wines in the tasting room right now.
And then which one is your favorite?
Oh, which one's my favorite? I really like red blends. And for whites, I really like Chardonnay a lot. It's probably my favorite one to make because you don't ferment. Like this fermenter right here will hold about 7 tons, which is the same as over 1,000 gallons of wine. With Chardonnay, you're fermenting 50 gallons in every single barrel. So you get to have some fun with it, where you'll say, I want the oak from this barrel to be medium toasted. And from the Allier forest in France, and I want this barrel to be medium plus toasted, or medium long toasted. And I want, one yeast in this barrel and another one in that one. Or I'll press the grapes harder when they go into this barrel. So yeah, it's a lot of like really small science experiments that we work with. I like Chardonnay the most. I think making Chardonnay. I like drinking Bordeaux blends.
I saw on the website that you were recently selected as one of the top wedding venues in Virginia for 2014 by Virginia Living.
That was nice of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know how many weddings do you usually have in a year, or?
I think we had like 4 last year.
They must have been really good then.
I guess they must have been some killer weddings. One of them was mine.
Oh, congratulations! Then.
I didn't nominate us though. I don't know who did that.
That's funny.
One of the challenges that we run into, I go to some other wineries and they will have 4 weddings in a weekend, and it's very, I don't want to say like cookie cutter because that's not really fair because every wedding is different. But there's a routine. Oh yeah, you take the wine barrels out there for the next to the podium, and then you set up all the chairs right here, and then and it's very efficient, and that's not a bad thing at all. In fact, we could be more efficient for weddings. But if you have a wedding in Bluestone, it is very much like we don't have a wedding venue, really. We don't have a building. We don't have a ceremony hall or anything. We have a really great view on the back hill, and then we had a really nice patio, which has since become our tasting room, or an extension of our tasting room. We will be building a new tasting room here at the top of the hill, and so we do look forward to that. And we might have more weddings if that's what people want to do. But yeah, we don't have that many weddings. It's a lot of work to put one on.
Do you have any more questions here? Yeah, I think that's all we have for this.
Okay.
You can stop.
Okay, now we're gonna be.